All right. Well, I guess I am introducing myself. Welcome, everybody. I am uh, excited to share this message. It's one that's I've been kind of mulling over for a few months, really since the book club started reading Braiding Sweetgrass. It's a powerful book. It's one I read a few years ago, but the the book club inspired me to kind of pick it up and refresh myself. And uh, I've been really thinking about how the garden is really truly a metaphor for social justice and the way that plants connect with one another, and nothing exists in isolation. And several of us at Wedgewood are gardeners. We love to garden. It's where we find peace and joy. And um, I just felt in my heart that there was a connection there. So I'm going to share my thoughts on tending the garden of social justice, because to me they are so interconnected. So, and I had intentions of actually giving this talk, being out in my garden, but as we were talking about, it has been a very hot few days, and so I'm giving this talk from inside of my home. But this home is actually relatively new. It's one that I've been settling in. I moved in last fall, and one of the main reasons that I fell in love with this house was the land and the potential for our garden. And when I moved in for the first time, I felt like I was living in a home of my own with a yard and green space that I could put my stamp on, a space that I could tend and shape, where my hands could meet the earth. It felt like possibility. I moved in, in the fall, and then you go over the winter, where things might feel dead, but not really. They go into a dormancy. And during that time, I watched, and I waited and I studied. I noticed where the sun fell in the morning and where shadows stretched long in the afternoon. I marked how the wind moved through the branches and where the rain pooled in the low spots. I didn't plant anything over the winter, but I paid attention. And in that quiet observation, in the quiet of winter, I started to dream. I began mapping out garden beds in my head. I pictured the herbs I would grow, the vegetables I would try. It was going to be the most amazing garden I had ever made in my life. And once the spring came and the last frost was behind us, I planted basil. Basil and I have struggled, but I was like, I'm going to try basil again. I've tried many times. Basil is supposed to be easy, right? It's a garden herb, and every gardener's book for beginners says that it's a really great place to start. But just like every other time, it didn't make it. I watered it. I even talked to it. People said, talk to your plants. I had it in a pot and I moved it to a sunnier part of the yard. I did everything I thought I was supposed to do, but it's still withered. But the thing is, I realized afterwards that I never tested the soil. I assumed that whatever I planted, it would just support life. I just had regular generic soil. I assumed that the conditions were right because it looked on the surface. But assumptions don't grow gardens. And assumptions also don't grow social justice either. Because what might look fine on the surface might be depleted underneath of nutrients. And what we don't examine, we can't heal. Communities like soil need care. They need truth. They need compost, the broken down remains of what came before that is transformed into something nourishing. They need rest. They need time. And they need people committed to doing the long, slow, laborious work of restoration. So, yeah, this talk is about gardening. It's about the garden. Really, yes, it's about the Wedgewood community in the work of social justice. It's about what we're building together. It's about the worlds that we imagine. It's about the slow and sacred work of social justice. Because in this moment where cruelty is policy, when hatred is platformed and rewarded, and when our president stands at rallies and goes to war flanked by bigots and fascist imagery, we do not have the luxury of wishful thinking. We are in the season of soil work. We cannot plant hope without preparing the ground, and we cannot heal what we refuse to name. So, yes, this talk is about gardening, but it's also about hope. It's about community and transformation and not giving up even when the basil dies. Social justice begins below the surface. And right now, the soil that we live in is cracked and exhausted. We live in a nation where trans kids are criminalized, where immigrants are dehumanized and trafficked to prisons overseas and made to disappear, where DEI programs are dismantled by the same hands that claim to defend freedom. We live in a time where Christian nationalism is not just an ideology, but political strategy, and the soil is poisoned. And like any good gardener, we have to name the rot before we can grow something new. Because you don't get tomatoes from concrete, and you don't get equity and equality from empire. We can't just sprinkle seeds over broken systems and expect them to bloom. And we can't hold unity above accountability. We can't call for healing while protecting the systems that cause harm. We have to dig. We have to decompose what's toxic: racism, misogyny, hatred of immigrants, xenophobia, the whole tangled root of American exceptionalism and white nationalism and so many other things in this world that are toxic. We have to pull up what's choking our shared future, even when it once looked like a flower, even if it meant something to us once, even if letting go hurts. And sometimes the roots that need pulling are our own, and that's part of soil work too. Maybe we planted too soon. Maybe we planted in the wrong place. Maybe we hurt someone. Maybe we let our egos get in the way. Didn't realize a blind spot. Held onto grievances long past their expiration dates. Maybe we said the wrong thing. Or maybe we thought we were helping when we were just taking up space. Mistakes in this work can be really painful. And they can shake our sense of purpose. But they're often necessary for growth, because every gardener knows you don't learn from your perfect crops. You learn from what didn't thrive. You learn from what died, from what bolted, from what yellowed, from what failed to fruit. And you take that lesson into the next season. And that's why we don't shy away from getting our hands dirty in the soil at Wedgewood. Wedgewood isn't perfect. We don't have to be. We just have to be willing to show up and try again, to test the soil, to ask what it needs now, not what it might have needed in the past. That's mutual aid. That's community. It says we see you, we hear you, we've got you, not because it's charity or because we want to be heroes, but because the system failed and we won't. We refuse. And that's what we do here. We share resources. We stand with our neighbors. We march at No Kings protests. We raise our voices at Rock Hill Pride. We advocate for Palestinian liberation. We speak up for our immigrant neighbors and Ukrainian self-determination, for our siblings and community that need help. That's soil work. That's repair. That's community. We can't be afraid to name what is broken, and we're not. And we're not afraid to stay in the work even when it hurts. For me, that's what makes Wedgewood holy ground. It's not what we always get right. It's that we keep trying, we keep weeding, We keep tending, we keep planting. Even when we might not see the fruit, we believe that harvest will come because we believe in hope. Social justice doesn't bloom overnight. We know this. It grows like a seed. And the seeds always start out of view, under pressure, in the dark. It's not a switch that we flip or a finish line that we cross. It's a daily practice. It's a long commitment. It's small acts of care and courage repeated until they shape the soil. And we plant it one action at a time. It's a protest, a ride, a shared meal, a vote, a phone call, a handheld, a story believed, a harmful policy changed, a seat offered at the table. And yes, the danger in this moment is that we start to believe that nothing's changing, that all of this effort is for nothing, and that the rot is too deep and the resistance is too small. I think we've all had moments where, it feels like that. But the thing is, the seeds, they disappear underground, sometimes for a really long time, but that doesn't mean they're not growing. Sometimes the roots come first. Sometimes the work happens in places we can't see, in conversations we never hear, in systems we're slowly unbuilding, unmaking, and making into something new, and people who are watching and learning and quietly preparing to act. That's the quiet part of social justice, the unseen part, the part that takes faith. Robin Wall Kimmerer also writes in Breeding Sweetgrass, all flourishing is mutual. It's probably one of my favorite lines from the book. All flourishing is mutual, because it reminds me that nothing thrives alone. Not in the garden, not in life, not in community, not at Wedgewood, not in democracy. Everything is connected, and everything that we do ripples out and touches something else. The garden teaches us this over and over and over again. Tomatoes need trellises and marigolds. Squash needs space. Pollinators need blooms. Soil needs rest. And people, we need each other, even if we might not want to admit it. Right now, across the country, we're watching political leaders double down on cruelty, division, and greed. But we know a deeper truth. We're at Wedgewood because we know this truth. We know a truth rooted in our interconnectedness, in care, in joy, in the work, in mutual survival. We've seen it in our own soil here at Wedgewood, at our film screenings, at our holiday bazaar, at our volunteerism, at our book club, the community events we support, the rallies we go to. These aren't just little programs and events. Each of these are acts of resistance and declarations of belief in a future rooted in something better. We plant what we believe. We plant because we know the roots are doing their work. We plant because someone someday will need the shade of this tree, or the sweetness of this fruit, or the courage that comes from knowing someone else cared enough to plant it. We may never see the full harvest, but we still plant because someone else will need what we grow, because someone else once planted for us. Social justice isn't just about planting. It's also about sustaining. It's about tending, returning again and again to what's growing, even when we're bone tired, even when the world feels impossibly heavy. It's about tending beds that you didn't create, watering what someone else planted. It's about pulling weeds that maybe once looked like flowers. It's realizing that just because something is familiar, that doesn't mean that it's faithful or that it's the right thing. Weeding is hard. It's the practice of calling people in with love, of apologizing, of choosing repair over rejection, of learning to hear feedback without collapse, and recognizing when it's your turn to make it right. And it's also about having the courage to pull out the root when it needs to, not just snipping the dead leaves. And the watering is our homecomings, potlucks. Someone is sick. It's Sunday services and our Tuesday night meetups and texts that say, "How are you really?" It's someone telling you to rest while they take the shift, to shared laugh in the middle of a protest. Watering is joy, and joy is social justice too. It's not an escape from the work. The evidence of the work is working because a just world is a joyful world, one where people have what they need, where rest is honored, and no one carries the load alone. Because none of us can do this alone. Social justice is not a solo act. And gardens, especially community gardens, are also sustained by many hands. One person weeds while another rests. One person plants while another heals. And one person speaks while another holds silence. This is what community means. It means we take turns. It means we water each other. It means no one is left behind. Some of us plant, and some of us water, and some of us harvest, but it takes all of us. A just garden is not tidy. It's not manicured. It's wild. It's messy. It's alive. It's full of difference and friction and beauty and power. No one gardener controls it. It belongs to all of us. And like any living garden, it asks something. The author of Braiding Sweetgrass also writes, "We are showered every day in the gifts of the earth, and yet we still long for more. If our leaders, if our leaders don't lead us to reciprocity, we must lead our, because the garden is a place where we remember how to give back." Right now, our leaders are not leading us to reciprocity, to social justice. They're leading us to repression, to violence, to separation, to fascism and bigotry. But we don't follow them. We follow the seed, the soil, the slow, sacred, revolutionary act of care and tending to community. So Wedgewood is the soil. We are the seeds. We are the water. Let's tend this garden together. Thank you. So I'm going to ask you all to sit with that for a moment and then think about, and I'd love to hear from folks when you're ready, what soil are you personally growing from right now? Maybe emotionally, spiritually, or socially. For me, the soil I'm growing from is one of community and uh, thinking about, yeah, maybe the soil that I've been in, maybe it needs to be refertilized and refreshed. We got to do that from time to time. But what about y'all? What soil are you coming from? What soil are you growing from?
Mine would be probably compassion, right? Everything well, my day-to-day interactions with people or politics or, whatever it may be, I try to lead with from a place of compassion and understanding and, not everything's just black and white, so if someone's in need or something um troubling has happened, right? I try to stand on the side of compassion. Like, well, how do we help the people that are harmed? how do we make it better, and make sure that the decisions I make um are not intentionally causing harm. So, and I fiercely defend that. Because I know sometimes when you make decisions or do things, sometimes you can't help but to cause harm, but to mitigate it as much as possible, to make it as light and not as painful. Um, and to I'm losing my train of thought, but to just kind of make sure that when I do things, I am helping more than I am hurting, if that makes sense.
It definitely does.
I'm coming from a place where I am healing, constantly healing. And in my healing, I'm learning more of myself. And same thing with you, as you said, Brian, to make sure I'm not hurting people while I'm healing and learning of myself and being mindful of that. I too want to be compassionate and understanding with myself and with those that I interact with. I always check myself to see, like, am I saying or doing something wrong, or I'm looking at it wrong, or I'm looking at, do I have the wrong perspective? I always check myself first. I'm an emotional person, so I always have to check myself. Um, but I'm coming from a position of healing, compassion, empathy, and just caring for the world that we are now, caring for myself, my mental health, my social health. So that's where I'm coming from. That's,
Yeah.
that's the earth that I'm in. That's the dirt that I'm in.
Mhm. What is one thing you feel called to plant, water, or tend to in the coming months?
Say that again, please.
Uh, well, so what is one thing, maybe, like in a social justice in your life and in community that, or even like for yourself, that you feel called to plant or water or tend to?
I'm always called to the plants. The plants seem to, I guess it gives me a reason, something to care for. I like caring for things, people, plants, animals. So I like the plants. I talk to my plants. They're doing very well. You can tell when they're happy. And it's the same thing with people. You pour into them. You check on them. You make sure that they have what they need. Um, and again, that empathy is in there. So I'm
Mhm.
called to plants, caring for plants, caring for children, caring for whoever is in my path that needs help. I let my girlfriend stay here while I was away because she needed some peace. Where she was staying wasn't peaceful. So her mind, when you don't have peace in your mind, everything else is in an uproar. So she stayed here at my place. I said she wanted to water my plants for me. She could water my plants and also get peace at the same time. And she thanked me for that, for offering my space, because my space is very peaceful and I wanted to share that. So again, with the empathy, again with the healing, again with helping other people's, again with community. So, and again, like you said, the flowers get in there too. The plants are all entwined in the piece together. That makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. No, it does.
Um, I would say for me, it'd be um, passion and confidence. A
Mm,
lot of people, um, they they have their beliefs, right, in something, but they don't necessarily stand on it, whatever it may be, right? Whatever it could be, it could be your passion for, I don't know, art or whatever, right? And without that passion and that confidence, you're not taking hold of that that art that you like, for instance.
hmm.
So, and sometimes I can be annoying with my friends with this, but I'll tell them like, hey, if you want to do this thing, do this thing. Set aside time. You want me to help you plan it out? I'll help you plan it out. But let's do it. Stop talking about it and let's do it. Let's get it done so we can start doing this thing that you maybe
Keep
thought
talking
about
about.
doing,
Yeah.
or you have dabbled in a little bit but want to dedicate more time or resources into it. So
Hmm.
let's do it. Let's
Hmm.
let's 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 do that thing that you said you want to do or that you're trying to do. Or, if you love this thing and people you don't you're having trouble explaining or communicating to people like why you love it and they think it's weird or dumb or whatever. Stand on that thing you believe in and push back. Like, I like this thing. You don't have to like this thing. But when I talk about this thing, you're gonna know that I love this thing. And that's kind of how I am. I'm very passionate. Sometimes it sounds like I'm arguing with people when we talk about certain things. But that's how you know I'm very passionate about that subject or about that item or that activity, because I won't shut up about it. I'm loud about it, and you can't make me back down from it. So I try to instill that in the people around me as well. Like, just, embody that thing that you're going to do, and I'll help you embody that thing if you need that assistance.
So you giving them encouragement and telling them to stand on their, on what they
10
believe
toes
in,
down.
their
Is that
passion,
what you
stand
want to
on their
do?
passion.
10 toes down. Stand
Yeah,
on. You want to
stand
go
on your
skydiving? Let's
passion.
go skydiving. You want to, I don't know, race cars. I won't get in a car with you, but if you want to go racing, I'll drive you to the park, so you can, to the
Yeah.
track. I'm gonna say, so you can, whatever you need to, like if you want to do that thing, and I'll help you, as best I can get to that thing.
Hmm.
Sometimes people need to push because
Hmm.
they're afraid, but especially if they have someone on their corner, like, go do this.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. It's like they need permission.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think we
Hmm.
all need permission sometimes, whether
yeah,
it's to
we do.
like to do the thing or to like to let go of something.
Hmm.
Uh, Sometimes we just need that reassurance from someone else.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I think it's important to respond to what's happening externally. And it's pretty clear to me that the people who are currently most under attack in our name with our funds are members of the immigrant community, both people with papers and people without papers. And
Yeah.
so if there's anything that needs to be done right now, that's who's under the most direct attack and will be for the foreseeable future. So
Mhm.
if you ask me, I don't know about soil, but if you ask me what's motivating me right now, it's trying to stand in between the police state and the immigrant community.
Yeah. That's a huge seed that's being planted, not just for you, but other folks at Wedgewood, and it's important. More people need to do it. There's a lot happening, and it's overwhelming, and that's why it takes all of us.
Hmm.
It takes all of us, but we got us.
Anyone else?
I'm thinking of the words healer, heal thyself. That's what I'm trying to do. Heal myself. I have some pretty deep scars.
And
Yeah.
that takes a lifetime to heal. I'm still healing. I've come a long, long way, which is so I'm so grateful from the time that I came down here 9 years ago. But it's a continuous thing every day, every situation that you have to heal from triggers and all of that. So I hear you, Tom.
Yeah.
But it is overwhelming all that is going on today. And it's for me, it's trying to find, okay, do you help over here? Okay, help over there. And oh, we need help over there too. Oh, it's sort of like the garden. Well, the tulips need watering, and then the other one doesn't need so much water. They need cutting back. Well, this one needs, fertilizer. And this one needs, some new, mulch underneath. It's like it's all over the place. I feel like, and I'm get a little overwhelmed. So I try to find different groups that have already started, working on bringing people together or organizing people so we can come together and help. Because it's like, well, where do we help? Like, where do we go? But, well, how do we get to talk to them? And what do they need? And how do we come together? Like, how do you get a whole bunch of different people together? How do we get the communication started? Like, so we can find out what do we do? How can we do? What do we do? What do they need? How do we work together?
Hmm.
So. What do we need to do? I'm willing to work together, but where do we start? What do we do to work together?
Yeah.
It's a lot going on. So it's like, oh my goodness. Okay, okay, we're willing, we know we got to work together. What's the plan? What's the big
Hmm.
plan? Let's
Yeah.
do it. That's
Mm.
where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Willing to help, but where, how, when, what's the program? And I saw on the newsletter, Liz, that you put out that there are some podcasts that are talking about these different subjects. That was very helpful. So you can go to that group and sort of feel like there's some organization with got some dialogue going on. So those were very helpful.
Yeah. Reggie recommended the ones that were in the newsletter this week.
Oh, okay. That was really
Yeah.
good to at least go start a conversation with a group of people that are thinking, like-minded people.
Hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of different places to start.
Hmm.
It's just that you start.
You just do something with that group or several groups, you know.
Yeah. Hmm. And I think one of the gifts that you have, Ashanti, is your voice. And when you sing, that is a gift, and it is an important part of it. Part of it.
That is a gift. It is a gift, and you have to share it, whether it's on a big stage or a small stage or in front of a Zoom camera. You do have to share, and that's why I always like to say, listen to the words, listen to the lyrics, because that's where the message is, and that's the reason why we're using this song because there's a message there that we want you to hear. And sometimes it's easier to hear it in a song than someone speaking it. It just resonates a little bit better in your soul. Um,
Hmm.
so the
Reg,
garden metaphor. Go ahead.
Ashanti, you would have been energized by the No Kings March. I know you were out of town, but it was amazing. There were over 5,000 people there
Oh my goodness.
in
That
Charlotte.
in Charlotte.
Yeah,
That sounds amazing.
it was. You would have been energized by that. We all were.
Well, I'll do the next one.
Yeah, no,
So thank you, Liz, for that metaphor. The garden metaphor shows that social and environmental justice are entwined like roots in healthy soil. And just plugging in my thing here. And like timeless call in the track Mercy, Mercy Me. It's about healing the world and all the things that we about and that we're passionate about. So again, I'd like for you to listen to the words of this old song, but still the message rings true today. I think the song's about over 50 years old.